you saved? Where was you saved?
Mount Tabor.
Mount Tabor.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what year?
I think it was about the 30s.
In the 30s. Who was preaching?
Wait just a minute. Elmer Marsh, I believe.
Where was you baptized?
You know, Brother Browning was there, but I think that Elmer Marsh is his helper, or whatever you call it. But Brother Browning, I used to live by him, but I never did learn his name down at Greenville.
You live by him?
But Elmer Marsh is back over here.
Well, where was you baptized?
Oh, Blue Hole.
I was going to say, I bet Blue Hole, because everybody else says that. Well, do you remember anything about the old church?
No, I don't. All I can remember about it when it is all gone top of the bill in, and Papa taking mules and snaked logs out and was tending it, and I remember that when he said it was awful poor ground there that Lizzie Seaton stomped it to death. But y'all can't remember how she used to stomp and do.
I remember, but I don't remember that.
Aunt Lizzie. Is that Pappy's sister?
And so you do remember a little bit about the old church then?
Yeah. I reckon that's where my mama and Papa was saved at.
You're talking about this right here?
And they married down here on that big flat rock. That's the prettiest place before they tore it up with the roads up, you know. And she said Granddaddy, Levi, as her daddy, sat down on a rock and put his head down this way so he could say he never seen nor one of his children married. He's taping all that, is he? He's taping all that.
Part of it.
I thought he was taping about the church.
Yeah. Well, who's the oldest person you remember at Tabor?
What was his name? He just shouted and everything. Oh,
Mr. Arthur?
Now, what was his name? Any other time I could told you. I thought it wasn't nothing like that man. I was just a little child.
Oh, that's right.
Then David Powell and Ben Deason was the next to it I could remember. They were deacons or something.
Yeah.
Goodman. It was this fella that he is older they was.
Jackie Goodman?
I won't call him Jackie Goodman, but
Yeah.
I don't think
That's right. You're right.
That's right.
That's him.
Yeah, that's what I've heard Brother Mars talk about him.
He talked about it a lot on that tape.
Oh, did I left?
Have you ever heard that tape?
That's right.
Well, you remember Brother Rice shouting?
Ma'am?
You remember Brother Rice shouting? Mac Rice. You know he would shout.
No, I don't remember his wife shouting.
I'm talking about him.
Talking about who?
Brother Rice. You don't remember Brother Rice?
Oh, yeah.
Mac
I
Rice.
remember Brother Rice get up in the benches and jump up and down.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah. Well, y'all know about Brother Turley?
No, tell us about him.
Huh? come home with Papa and Mama down here at Granddaddy Levi's old house. It wasn't old land. And he'd stay all night with them. And Papa drive old Kate to the buggy. And Granddaddy had an old gray mare. And he let Brother Turley drive her, and he'd ride behind the buggy on this old gray mare.
Good.
Old Kate get shot, this is run this thing, Papa going up and down.
Oh, I bet that was good.
I was 6 years old when all that was happening.
Good, good. Well, tell us something about your teenage years when you was just a young girl. What'd you do?
What did I do?
Yeah, when you went to
After
church,
church.
after church, what did you do? What?
When I went in Sunday school, and then when I got home, most time they went somewhere and spent the evening, like down here at Mr. Ephraim's. I say Mr. Ephraim, I don't know why. Alice was Mama's first cousin. Deason's out here. Old Uncle Tom Deason. I guess you heard a lot about him.
I've heard that name, yeah.
People used to walk and go to a meeting in droves, and them it had wagons and teams. When they'd take a wagon load, they come along and them was walking. They had room for them. They stopped and let them in. Now they'll pass you up in the car.
See if she remembers any other preachers. What about Cooper? See if you make.
Do you remember Brother Cooper?
Oh yeah, I remember Brother Cooper, but I can't tell you much about him because I don't know why I don't remember about Brother Cooper, but I remember him.
Well, what's the oldest preacher you remember? The oldest preacher that you remember?
I told you,
Turley?
Ben Deason and Mr. Dave.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Old Uncle Jackie Goodwin.
Yeah.
That's what we all called him.
Yeah.
I think Miss Katie France was his daughter. I've heard that.
That's people I don't know.
She married, why can't I think of her man's name? His brother to Nether and Yellow now. I can almost call it and can't. He had a boy and girl. I bet you remember Ellie Hugh, big old fat thing. And that boy, now what was? I went to school with them.
I know who you're talking about, but I'm like you, that name's not coming to me.
Huh?
I said, I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of the name.
Arlette?
Arlette, yeah, Arlette.
That just comes to me all
Yeah.
at once.
Arlette Francis?
Uh-huh.
I remember him.
Arlette and Ellie Hugh was their only two children.
Yeah.
And they went to Hopkinsville. And then I didn't know much about them.
You have any pictures of the church or anything? You have any pictures?
Yeah, no.
You don't have any pictures of the church?
Well, I have of J.R. and Polly, but I don't know where they're at.
Yeah. But I mean, of the church before it was anything built to it.
Old
Back when it was
church.
old.
Yeah.
You don't have nothing of the old church. Well, you think of anything else to tell us? Tell us some more. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we have one time.
Old Aunt Molly, Locke, lived up there, and Miss Katie. I wish I could think of Miss Katie's last name. I don't know.
Francis, huh?
No, not Katie. Maury.
Oh.
Old Aunt Molly Locke, they called her, and Maury.
Mm-hmm.
And they come down to meeting, but I never knowed them was shouting or nothing.
See if she can remember any piano or organ players or some of these back.
You know, old Aunt Molly didn't want that pretty shade tree that stood up on the bank above the church. People sat under it, no. And she bought a half bushel of salt, they said. Now, I don't know that. Yes, I just heard it. And her and Maury, she always made Maury help her, and she dug a trench around and poured that salt that tree. And
Killed it, huh?
you know that that tree almost growing. The stumps out there, they tore it down right lately. It had got to be that big around. People did sit under it then. And she said she wanted to see the church and couldn't see it for that tree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they said she done a lot of things. Mr. Lucian tell it mighty bad on her. Back then, we ain't talking about church now, we're talking about people.
Oh, that's still church people.
He got him a pretty good sized block, Mr. Lucian said, and wasn't very, dug a hole and put it down in the ground, then made a thing right in the middle of it, and got him a fork and put his horse-like gate up there. Set it down on this fork, up here, tied it. They didn't have such things as they got later. And like they all this mess they got now, tools and things is since, I don't know that. I guess they got them last 30 years, I imagine. And he said she taken a handsaw and went out there and sawed that gate down. Tore it down. They said she done something. And if a cat or a dog come on, she had two big corn knives. I never seen them now. I never seen them do this. I was just telling you what Miss Lucian told. And she'd get them knives and she'd say, "Come on, Maury." And they would, she'd make Maury help her cut them cats her dog's heads off.
Oh. She's cruel.
His grandmother, but he was awful.
Who's the first song leader or piano player or whatever? You remember anything about the music at the church?
Let me think a minute. The organ's what they had.
Who played it?
I can't think. Can't think who played the organ. I just can't remember
Well,
it.
see
It
if
might
she remembers
come.
Miss Lawrence Hightower.
Tell me when I'm doing something.
That's
you
all.
know.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine. What about Mr. Lawrence Hightower? You remember him? Didn't he play? Mr. Lawrence Hightower. Didn't he play the organ? Lawrence Hightower. He played the organ, didn't he? Somebody told me.
Yeah, I believe he did. As you said it.
You don't
That's
know.
about Laurie Craig.
What about Laura Craig? Did she ever play the organ?
Not that I know of.
I think Victor told us thought she played. Seemed like I remember her playing. Some. Song leader.
Who's the first song leader you remember? The first person that led the singing. You know who that was? Back when you was young, who led the singing?
Lived it then.
Singing.
Back when you was young, who led the singing? Who done the singing?
Virgil Gary's the first, and I can remember.
Now you getting it.
They really could sing.
Was it
Gary's,
Rosie?
all of them.
And she mentioned Rosie.
It was,
No,
I
you know
forget
who.
that, can't call that oldest name, Miss Eddie in Georgia. And there's one same age of me, and her was big friends. I can't remember.
But Virgil Gary was a song leader.
You see,
Music teacher too.
What?
He was a
Music
music teacher too.
Oh.
I know that much. I knew he did.
Can you remember him?
No, I don't remember him, but I
Just
remember.
heard of him.
I remember him talking about him being a music teacher, and he was later back then. You know what's it?
It's burning.
Uh-huh.
Think of anything else? Tell us something else about the church. You know anything else about the church? Anything you can think of?
No. Brother Browning, and he come in here, I think, after the Garys had left and quit singing. I was trying to think who the preacher was when they wasn't around all the time. They just come in to churches singing. It's like groups are going around us singing. If I hadn't got hurt and forgot everything I ever knowed, part of it comes back and part of it don't.
Sure is.
Well, I think you've done real good.
That tooth dentist that ruined my hearing, and he put his old thumb in my mouth that way and just rolled down. If I could have bit it, boy, it'd been too bad. I couldn't help but spoil if I was an old woman.
Some don't care.
And he said that if it don't get along all right, get into trouble, said come back. And I said, I know that I'll be back there. That other dentist over in front of Piddly Widdly's, well, he pulled my teeth and I wouldn't know when he pulled them. He pulled all of them, but that one wisdom tooth.
Well, who hurt you?
I just got these
That must be
running.
standard.
Sounds like it.
Well, if you think of anything else, tell us. Go ahead. We run out of questions.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm sure sure proud to see you and proud to come. Yeah.
Of the church back then.
They used to wasn't society out there dress up. They come with Mother Hubbard made out of calico goods. They was pretty.
Yeah.
And now if they ain't got a little silk or satin, can't go to church.
Oh my.
I used to have the best times out there. They'd let the young ones get out on the ground after meeting, and a lot of the old folks would play with us, and we'd play and have the best time.
What'd you play?
Huh?
What did you play?
Oh, Ring Around the Roses and drop a handkerchief, and if you got it on whoever somebody, if they was in the ring, you know, get that handkerchief, then they had to go in there. That one got out.
We played
So
that at
like
school
going to
back
jail.
Yeah.
There's somebody that used to come, I forgot who it was, and they had a big dog that followed them. Had a big dog that sat on the church doorstep while he was in there, and never did bother nobody or nothing. Just sat there.
You don't know if nobody's got a picture of that church with a doorstep, do you?
Huh?
You don't know of a picture of that church with the doorstep, do you?
Uh-uh.
I wish we could get one. We can't find one nowhere.
People didn't have cameras back then like they have now.
No.
They was things stand up so like he's at, you know, and take a few pictures, but boy, they was high. Mm-hmm. And back then, when people got 10 cents an hour for working, they thought they was making money. Oh, what is it?
Somebody drove up, didn't they?
Okay.
No, it's
Yeah, it is.
I laid in here on the bed and couldn't get up, you know. And he would let me know it's somebody in the door. He'd run back to the bed to me and then run back to the door. And I'd holler, come in. And they'd come in. If a black man walked in,
Good have, couldn't it?
I guess I'd rolled off that bed under it.
Well, what would you like to tell the young people of today?
What?
What would you like to tell the young people at Mount Tabor?
About Tabor.
Uh-huh. What would you like to tell them about Tabor? What would you like to tell our young people?
What advice would you give?
What kind of advice would you give?
I'd like to tell them they got an awful good preacher out there, and I like him, and I can hear him talking. And he's not stuck up or nothing. He seems just as plain as an old shoe. Anywhere I meet him at, when he comes to me, shakes hands with me, and talks to me, don't matter where. Of course, I liked Elmer Morris when he was first. Papa said that when he got right down to preaching, said that he do his fingers that way, and said, boy, he could tell it. As Elmer Morris. Yeah. I can't remember too much about Brother Todd. Hurley's preaching. I reckon he's the first preacher that I can remember. And
Wonder what
I'm
year
trying to think.
she probably don't know either.
I'm trying to think who come after that. Oh, but you're talking about the young folks. I think the young folks does pretty well. I just love to see them two little girls that stands up there on the pulpit. One of them Jeff Jordan, and the other one is Eddie Mitchell. I think them little things can sing. It looks so sweet. And I've been able to take my camera and take their pictures when they're up there.
Yeah, they do. They like to sing.
And it used to be growed up, you know, they cut the undergrowth, but they had trees and things all up there. And sick folks, it come and it couldn't come in meeting house. They drive them up on the shade with the windows, and they would lay there and listen at it. And I've seen them do it since they got cars too. And then they went and cut all the shade and everything down. We got them air conditioner, boy, they just freeze me. I got an air conditioner, but I just run the fan on it. I can't stand that air conditioner. Give me the Troop.
Yes, him too.
Him too.
You take Croup.
And say I'm a woman face and choke up, I can't hardly
talk
talk.
about it, I can just imagine seeing them people come driving up in them wagons and buggies and some horseback. We had heat better time back then than we do now.
Why do you think we did?
Huh?
Why do you think they did? God's still the same. God's still the same. What's the
Yeah.
difference?
Yes, but we didn't have government overs taking everything for taxes and all what we made and we had and could give to the church and everything like that. Poor people, somebody come along a begging. They called them beggars. They'd come along and on something. When I lived down at Browder, I believe it's Browder, and there's a fella come to the back, you know, I was in the kitchen, he come to the porch and laid up there. He said, "Lady," and I said, "What?" I didn't see him, you know, till I went to the door, and he said, "Would you give me a piece of cold cornbread?" And I said, "No, but I'll give you a piece of hot." He said, "Well, thank you, thank you." And I told him that I didn't have nothing else cooked. I gave him something else. He said, "Put it on a paper and he'd eat it going down the road." And he went down the road just knowing that cornbread.
Yes, it tasted good to him.
They called them hobos. Come in on freight train. I have lived at so many different places and went to a church at them too. I've been to every kind of church, I reckon, but black people and Catholics. And I said if I live long enough, got anyway, I was going down so I could say I'd been to all the churches. And then, Annie Mann used to go up there. We lived in Carpentersville. I guess you can remember that church stood off up on the road black people went to. He used to go up there all the time and listen at them. They'd have dinners and things and invite him to eat with them. He would. I've been to camp meetings and I've been to arbor meetings.
That's what you say, brush arbors.
Everything. I couldn't tell you what. You know where that place is, like you're going to Russellville, and that's, I think they got a church up on there. Right, you cross the road here and went right up on the piece to the arbor meetings.
Claymore.
You've been to the arbor meeting?
Yeah.
And there was two boys come in there. They was regulars. One of them was purple and the other. And I don't know whether they both had guitars or fiddle. And they would sing songs for them. And they'd sing, I'm going where the roses never fade or never bloom. I don't know how that was. I can't
How long ago's that been?
wish I could. Oh boy.
Don't you remember
Yeah, if
that?
I could remember and tell you everything, I bet you'd have a book after this.
Yeah, probably would. Well, you've done real good. You've done real good.
I was 82 years old, third day of last August.
How old was you when you were saved?
Huh?
How old was you when you got saved?
Got married.
No, saved.
Oh,
When you joined the church, how old was you?
About 28 years old, I believe. When I was 12 years old, when Aunt Luann would, Powell, Uncle Charlie's wife, she was Mama's sister, she'd come to me and she'd get down and she'd cry and she'd pray and she, said, well, she finally got me to go up. And I went up there and I just like some young'un. Well, that's all it was. And I don't know how that was, but they asked me if I believed in God and Jesus and all. They asked me all sorts of questions. I told them yes, and so they said, well, I must be saved. Get up, I'd done all I could do. Well, I thought for all them years that I was saved, going to meeting, Sunday school and everything, and I was out there one night, and I was trying to think who was preaching. I can't. Seemed like it was. His given name was Thorne. Best I can remember. It was a preaching, and something just come over me, and I said to Bertha Deason, you know, she's a chum that lived out here, and I said, Bertha, I'm not saved, and I said, go with me, I want to be saved, and she said, oh, go on, and she wouldn't go with me, and I went, And I told the preacher when he was talking to me, Alice Martin, said I wasn't saved then. I saw the prettiest light just come and stand, over me. And I had told the preacher I wanted to shout. He said, oh, I said, I won't let religion make me shout. He said, oh, there ain't nothing to that. I said that he was saved so many years before he could shout. I said, I could shout. I go up from there. A lot of boys back here and girls made fun of me, but I didn't care.
Right.
He said I jumped up and down and popped. Boy, that was seemed like best feeling I ever had.
It was, I'm sure. I'm sure of that. I can agree with that.
Yeah, I can be by myself and just happy. And I believe in helping everybody all I can. I don't believe in throwing away and burning stuff that somebody needs, can use. And I reckon I have told you about all oh yeah. I made, I believe it's 7, and give them to my friends.
Mm-hmm.
I sent Johnny and Edna one. They all ain't like, they're different. Went to Ms. Knight's and she showed them to me. And some of them was about that broad, and I made block. I've got a quilt piece there behind you. If you ought to reach up there and see it.
That's pretty.
Now that is come out of them. She called them strings.
That's pretty.
Scrap pieces she has left over from sewing.
And I made a real string quilt for J.W.'s wife. Outdoors Emily, the snake got made yet.
Well, that's nice. You're knitting so many pieces then. Yeah.
What?
I said, that's part of your material you're working with, I guess.
I guess so. I don't know till I see in it. She just like to have a fit over it. Springs, some of them wasn't brought her, my 2 brothers to their sewed, but there's all going.
Well, I guess.
I ain't going to bother him. If he takes up with you, don't nobody else come back.
Well, we sure appreciate what you've told us.